ANC President Ramaphosa has told his party's National Executive Committee members to find solutions to address challenges faced by municipalities and ensure basic services to people. Now, he was speaking at the party's special NEC meeting this weekend, taking place on the back of his Friday cabinet visit to the Northwest. The province faces constant local government and service delivery crises. Ramaphosa told members to consider competent leaders for next year's municipal elections. The NEC also resolved to adopt a local government service delivery and infrastructure plan. Are these necessary moves or just in time for local government elections in 2026? Well, political analyst Professor Sethulego Matebesi joins me now for this discussion. Good morning, Professor. Thanks once again for your time.
Hi, good morning, Masichaba, and good morning to the viewers.
All right, firstly, Professor, let's start here. Now, the ANC Special NEC has placed local government at the center of its discussions. Why do you think the sudden urgency on service delivery and infrastructure is happening now?
Well, I strongly believe it has to do with what we have witnessed over the past 3 or 2 months, where it seems as if many communities are now battling to have access to clean, potable drinking water. And that in itself is indicative of an institution that has completely collapsed. And, it's not good. It has huge reputational risk for the government and for the ANC going forward. And I strongly believe on the eve of an election, you will want to manage all these negative views that have been peddled in the public. And I strongly believe that it has to do about the forthcoming local government elections next year.
Now, Professor, how significant is this special NEC meeting in terms of the ANC's preparation for 2026? And what does the timing tell us about the party's concerns?
No one can ever found the ANC wanting when it comes to its internal processes, whether they've met 2 months ago or 6 months ago, or whether they're going to meet or have a special NEC meeting over the next within the next 3 months. That for me is not an issue. What is an issue for me, it's a party more than a century old who seems to have lost completely touch of what is happening in our communities. I mean, if you look at all our institutions that are aligned to our government institutions, from your national government structures, and you look even at local government level, you've got a municipal manager, you've got political appointees, mayors, councillors, and yet we still battle to get the basics right. And the basics here, it's not about providing water and services, and it's when those services are not being provided, how do you interface with the communities? And it's all these issues that unfortunately are building up, and I don't think a meeting yet again will resolve this. We are extremely good in South Africa when it comes to writing policies, making speeches, which are so clear that you will be so convinced that tomorrow the problem will be resolved. But unfortunately, this is what we know about South Africa: speeches on speeches, meetings on meetings, but yet the fundamental challenges that South Africans are facing are not being addressed.
And now the big question is, what will it take to get it right? What is your assessment, Professor, of President Ramaphosa's call for skilled candidates in the 2026 local government elections? I mean, is this acknowledgement that the ANC has been deploying unqualified people?
Well, to a certain extent, it is acknowledgement, but the president has been very consistent on this matter for many years, over the past couple of years. But as I've often said, we say one thing, and yet, behind the scenes, something else unfolds. And this is very unfortunate if you look at the footprint of the African National Congress, and if you look at the footprint of the government. It's a case of where even the president and the presidency does not have authority to instill discipline within, our local government structures. Definitely, that for me, because it seems as if it's business as usual, where municipal managers, mayors do as they please. They're running municipalities like spaza shops. Go and look who are being hired. It's close allies who are working at our municipalities, and some municipalities have bloated. I mean, the number of people that have been employed in some municipalities, they can't afford that. But it's how a patronage system is operating. But there are also municipalities that are doing well, that are really battling because some community members, our residents, are not paying for services. So there are those isolated cases, but in general, our municipalities are in serious trouble.
So now, Professor, is this renewed focus on local government too little too late, or can the ANC realistically turn around public perception before 2026?
No, you don't overturn any negative public perception a couple of months before any election. It's going to be a tall order because there are so many internal, strife within the African National Congress that it's going to be very difficult to turn that particular tide now. I can just give an example, and there are many examples. You talk about Northwest. How are they going to rectify that situation in the Northwest province? You actually feel when you drive from the Free State, and the Free State is not also exempted from that. But the moment you go to Eastern Cape provinces like Northwest, you just have to look at the roads to see that you ask yourself, but year on and year on, there are budgets, but where are the funds going to? So for me, it's going to be a tall order for the African National Congress to be able to navigate around all these slippery slopes, internal dynamics, and how are you going to improve service delivery, which you could not have done over the past couple of years. And that, for me, I strongly believe it's going to be a tall order.
Now, Professor, you've just said that the party has completely lost touch. How do you think that the deployment of skilled candidates could change the culture of local government if implemented properly? And also, is the ANC even capable in the first place of separating internal political interests from the urgent governance needs of communities, especially when factional battles often dictate deployment?
Yes, but we should also be, give the ANC the space to be able to appoint their own deployees. It happens all over the world where any party that rules will, and they are capable cadres. But some of them, when who are vocal, they are isolated. We've got very skewed priorities where it seems as if some leaders who has power, and remember, all these things has to do with power, and where power resides and the harm that accrues to power that has been abused has been huge. And this is where we find ourselves in South Africa. Sometimes it's not about the skills, it's about those who have the power, who makes decisions, very unfortunate decisions that harms the image of the African National Congress. And the ANC has not demonstrated that it can nip, ill discipline in the party. It takes forever. And for me, it will start with the party taking head-on those, irrespective of their positions, those who harm the reputation, those who don't perform. Action should be taken against them, the whole notion of consequent management. But at the end of the day, it's going to take quite an effort because this is a culture that is now has become, almost like a cancer within the African National Congress.
And now, Professor, the opposition parties are watching this ANC action plan very closely. How do you think they'll use this service delivery failures to their advantage ahead of the 2026 elections?
It is actually quite a surprise that, we still have a strong ANC. The ANC as itself, the ANC still, even if you look at how it performed during last year's, general elections, I strongly believe that the ANC is only in competition with itself. If the ANC can do what it's supposed to do, it will definitely be able to sway public perception, public opinion. But opposition parties, and remember, you also have got new entrants, and another element, you now have a South African Communist Party who is going to compete for the very first time against the ANC in your local government elections. That's another layer of the challenges for a party which I strongly believe has been bleeding in terms of, gaining or consolidating its electoral support. So it's going to be yet another challenge upon challenges for the African National Congress, and I yet want to see how its election machinery will navigate around these challenges.
Let's talk about that layer. Now, looking at the 2026 local government elections, what risks does the ANC face if it cannot show visible improvement at municipal level? And what are the biggest lessons that the ANC must take from past failures in municipal governance?
Well, the 2026 local government elections will be a precursor for your general elections, because, loss of public faith and trust in the party that has been demonstrated by the outcome of the last general elections. And I do not believe that the African National Congress would want to do bad, poorly in next year's elections, because that will not be good going forward. But the way, some of the lessons that they can take from that is, do not take citizens for granted. Try and interface with citizens not only a couple of months before the elections. The ANC does have a national footprint in terms of people who can go out and garner votes for the African National Congress. And I've seen how they unleash their machinery on elections days. But at the end of the day, you can't forever try to play the ideological game to say we are the party who brought liberation. What the people in South Africa need is basic services, and you need to demonstrate that not only basic services, that our municipalities are functioning well, and if they function well, we will not be having some of these challenges. Or even if we do encounter these challenges, at least the citizens will be able to understand. And unfortunately, these days, it's all arrogance, and that in itself harms the African National Congress.
Now, Professor, you speak about the lessons that the ANC should learn. How should the ANC approach coalitions differently if it hopes to regain stability at local level ahead of the 2026 elections?
Oh, well, it's a difficult question to respond to, but we already have seen that the African National Congress can obviously negotiate with parties like the Democratic Alliance, and perhaps what happens at national level can be taken to local government level, because we've seen completely different operations when it comes to coalitions at local government level. But yet again, and this is not only a challenge facing the African National Congress, this is yet another a layer of something that has become part of South Africans' DNA when it comes to local government, where it seems as if these coalitions are now also part and parcel of the challenges facing, where people will go into bed and tomorrow decide, no, they work away because their personal or party ideologies or party goals have not been met. And that, unfortunately, is another threat laying ahead for South African municipalities.
Now, before we let you go, Professor, and very briefly, the issue of unstable coalitions has been raised repeatedly. Do you think that South Africa needs a new model of coalition governance at local level, especially with the ANC's dominance declining?
No, it's yet again going to be very difficult because I strongly believe our democracy, as it evolves, it all depends. What we need, whatever model is adopted, it's sincerity, ethical leadership where leaders put the interests of residents or citizens above their party and their own individual interest.
Professor, thank you so much for your time.